This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded December 30th, 2014, episode 230, Gallionic, GitHub, Gabble.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
Dude,
Yeah.
tomorrow I'm going to be able to buy a hoverboard.
No, I don't think that's how it works, Dave.
Why? It's 2015 tomorrow.
Well, yes. When that's like later though, right? So that was like
Oh yeah, but like in
So there's still time.
in the timeline, like they
Right.
kind of developed it in 6 months or something, right?
Yeah. Did you ever think watching that the first time that the 2015 would ever get here?
No, that's because so young, right? I was so young, like 1985, and holy
Yeah.
crap, no. Like I couldn't even imagine what will I be doing when the year 2000 comes around? Because that was the big thing,
Yeah.
everyone started
Yep.
they started talking about that in the late 80s. Oh, it'll be 2000, and
Yeah.
then they had the TV show Beyond 2000. Or like a sciencey type show,
Yeah.
and it just seems so long away. And here we are, 2015.
I heard
Wow.
I heard Party Like It's 1999 the other day on the radio.
yeah,
And I'm
Prince,
I'm like, holy crap, that was 15 years ago.
exactly. And then when was that recorded? Was that the 80s or 90s?
Yeah, I think it was 80s. I mean, it sounds 80s.
So, it's
Yeah.
80, yeah. And it was that was the anthem of New Year's Eve. Yep. 1999.
Yeah, man. That was my 99 was very boring. I was in high school
Right. Yep.
playing video games.
Right.
Like, oh, hey, it's a new millennium.
Yeah, who cares,
What's up, 2000?
I just care about growing my hair long,
Yeah. Yeah, I tried that once. It didn't work. It didn't work.
No,
for me,
sorry, I'm thinking
so.
of the 80s.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Right.
So it is New Year's Eve there now. I've got another
It
day
is.
yet. Any
Yep.
big plans for the New Year's Eve or the New Year's Day?
I have a child. Child must be in bed by 7:30.
Right. So no, then.
So the care factor to even stay up to watch the fireworks on TV is borderline zero.
Yeah.
I'll be staying
you
up
guys are
anyway.
so-
I've done that. I'm just surfing the forum or I'm doing whatever. I'm just
Yeah.
nerding out. Right. I just couldn't give a toss about watching the bloody fireworks on the TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's
Yeah, because they
It's,
put some wanky music set to it. No, well, just
around
goes
here
on
it's
for
always Ryan Seacrest too.
right. Yeah, wouldn't know him from Bar of Soap.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you guys don't get the at least for us, we could always if I wanted to, if I had to go to bed at 8:00, I could be like, no, I'll just watch the Aussie fireworks. And,
Right.
You can't do that too close to the dayline.
Somebody sent around a fake press thing yesterday, right? It was like Sydney Harbour Bridge has been shut down. They've detected bombs all over, explosives
jeez.
all over the bridge. And of course, it's New Year's Eve. We deck our harbour bridge out with 100,000 fireworks.
I gotcha.
And
Yeah.
it's true. The bridge has been shut down, and there's explosives on there. Yeah,
Right.
and some people believed it, so it got all passed around social media, and
Yeah.
yeah, dope. Goodness.
Well,
yeah.
I always look at I don't know about you, but and maybe it's different now, but I always just look at the holidays as I just kind of plan out projects I want to be doing, and because that's usually
Right.
if I'm not family stuff going on, for New Year's Day, it's like everything's shut down. It's not like anything's going on,
that's
so
right.
it's just about what I can play around with in the basement and everything. So,
Well,
Got
New
anything?
Year's Day for me tomorrow is Hobbit Day. Phil, my
Hobbit Day.
patent attorney brother-in-law is coming over. We're going to watch the two Hobbits, which I haven't seen before. movies, and then we go into the cinema to watch the new Hobbit in 3D in full high, in in the full high frame rate,
yeah, the
48
4K,
frames per
whatever
second.
the heck it is.
Yep, the 4K, 48 frames per second. Yeah, because I haven't seen a movie in the cinema at 48 frames per second before, so I'm quite, with
enjoy
me
getting sick to your stomach.
with me being in the high frame rate business now.
Right.
I want to go see what all the fuss is about. So
there's a thing. So I used to live in Austin. There's a place down there called Alamo Draft House, and it's kind of like this artsy house, and they serve food and beer and everything in the theater. They do a thing where they're showing all 3 Hobbits in a row, and then all 3 Lord of the Rings in a row. And then they do, since they have like a full kitchen, it's like they do like, breakfast, second breakfast, 11sies, everything from that. And they actually serve you food throughout the day. It's a 20+ hour event. And it's like $250, because you're getting all this food. Yeah.
Well, we actually, come to think of it, Phil and I have been, this is Phil's idea, and I think it's not a bad one. We hire out an entire gold class cinema, right, which is one of our smaller cinemas here, but like they have plush, luxurious chairs which actually recline back, and and you pay like $40 a ticket or whatever, instead of the usual 25, and but they'll actually serve you food in there and all sorts of jazz. Anyway, we're thinking about like hiring out an entire cinema and then seeing if I can get enough nerds like from my show to actually book it out. An
that'd
entire
be fun.
for the Star Wars that comes out in December? I think it's a December release next year. The new Star Wars.
I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, I think it's December. Anyway, well, he thought about doing that, and he got a price for it. So I phoned him up and say, it was a similar sort of thing. It was like $300 or something, because you're booking out the whole cinema for the whole day, and you're watching, 6 movies back to back or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And he was thinking about
7.
doing the same thing. Well, we would watch all 7 Star Wars. I'm going
7, yeah.
And I thought, that'd be great. And then I thought, you wouldn't, you just wouldn't be coherent. You wouldn't be coherent for the 7th one. You're here to enjoy the 7th movie, which is the new one, and you're going to be like, just like totally out of it by the time you get there.
Yeah.
Or would the adrenaline kick in? Oh, it's a new Star Wars,
Yeah, maybe. I couldn't do that stuff. I don't know. That's a lot.
I don't know.
I get antsy after, a couple hours of
I've
movies
watched
or TV.
I've watched 3 movie marathons back to back, but that, and I was,
That's a little much.
Wasn't the best by the end of it. So maybe I'm thinking, well, let's just ditch the first 3 shit movies, right? And then we'll just watch 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Yes. Yeah, that's right.
If you're going to do it, that's definitely the way to do it. Yeah.
Right. So you don't get annoyed by Jar Jar Binks and
Yep.
Well,
good luck with that, man. I don't know. I would. Sorry.
Anyway, I'd have to make sure I get people to commit to it and then put money down. Like we could do a Kickstarter or something so that the money actually comes in, so that we could pay.
Yeah, you might have a hard time getting a copy of that new movie too. But
what?
Like playing the new Star Wars.
No,
rights for that.
They would play it. They will play it. That's the thing. You actually go there on the day that it comes out, and they will play it for you in your own cinema. See?
Huh, so, interesting.
Yeah, well, of course they will. They were going to show it anyway, right? So, but if you book 6 months ahead or whatever, and book out the whole cinema, then, well, it's yours, and they'll play anything you want. So, yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, that was a thought. So...
well, you don't have enough other stuff going on, right? I mean,
right. Speaking of high frame rate, my computer here is currently sitting nude. Nude, like the side panels are all off and everything. Because I'm about to release a video on this. I thought, ever since I've moved to this high frame rate thing, right, I've had to change my codec that I'm using to render the thing. I've had to up my my recording bit rate from 17 megbit to 35 megbit, right, to the full camera bit rate and everything. And all my rendering is now 6 times slower, right? It's 6 times slower than it was before. So if it was a 1 hour video before, it'd take me 30 minutes to render it. If it's a 1 hour video now, it takes me like 3+ hours to render it, right? So, yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, Yeah, so I went, right, I'm bloody well going to solve this once and for all. I'm going to go out and buy the best, highest end gamer video card I can get, or pretty close to it, one that's, sensibly priced at like $500, but it's like the fourth fastest video card in the world according to the benchmark list, right? So I went out and bought this yesterday. I thought, oh yeah, I'll do a video before and after. So I screen captured stuff before, put it in, and wah.
Nothing.
Doesn't work. Nothing. Not a bloody thing. Because it's so bleeding edge, this card, that, and now I read online that, oh yeah, a lot of people, most video editors don't support it, don't support this chipset, use this implementation of the CUDA driver from NVIDIA, and sure enough, Sony Movie Studio doesn't support it, and bloody, Adobe Premiere doesn't support it, and, nobody can get this thing working for its intended purpose of GPU acceleration, except the video games,
right, which are designed probably alongside of those. I remember those days too when like it used to be like everything was kind of not like everything was that bleeding edge, but it was just like everything was that didn't quite have the firmware synced up with the hardware. You had to have like a very specific, set of total hardware in order to get it working.
And drivers.
I don't miss those days at all. No. I don't no.
And they're here again. Everyone raves, oh, just get a big graphics card and it'll be 10 times quicker your rendering. It's bullshit. Yeah. It's bullshit.
That's like one of those tests that's just, it's just pure math of how many things can you do per second. It's just a matter of time. And
there's so many variables. And I've already got a good CPU, right? I've got an Intel i7 3770K clocked at 3.5 gig, right? Overclocked and everything. So my CPU is faster than, so I've put in a second GPU, I've put in a second video card, not an NVIDIA, a AMD one. Right, that's, pretty good. It's like half the speed of the one I bought, but it's still, it's not bad. And that one actually works. The drivers in that works because it uses OpenCL, which is a different system than the NVIDIA CUDA. And it's still not faster than my CPU at rendering my particular video in my particular case with my particular codec, with my particular source files, blah, 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 blah. Right? And... So, it's just, what a waste of time and money. It's just far out. Unbelievable. Anyway, give up. Just going to have to put up with it.
I think it's kind of one of those, what I wonder about is in the future as that hardware, because Intel is kind of not running out of steam, but kind of running out of market. It's not like more and more people are looking to do what you're doing. It's because everything gets so spread with mobile and everything else.
Yep.
So I wonder how that's going to change over the years if they will keep going further and further up market. If you'll have to like buy a server type of setup,
right?
Because that's where the money
farm
is.
Thing or something. Yeah, right.
Everyone's because ultimately it's where the money is. That's where the development's going to go too, right? I mean, that's why. That's why quadcopters are doing well right now, is because there's all that money in mobile chipsets, and low-cost processors are more and more and more abundant because that's there's money just in the volume, and so that's what we normally benefit from. I think that situation is going to be interesting because there'll still be money up there for sure because there's always going to be gamers and more graphics needs and stuff like that. But I think that that market will get more and more constrained. I don't know, maybe not.
Anyway, it's a pain in the ass. And then, of course, right, I come out and, tweet a few things about, and then, more people come out of the woodwork and go, well, you should have bought a Macintosh. Or they come out of the woodwork and go, well, no, you're wasting your time using the GPU. GPUs are shit, and they produce crap quality video. Just don't touch them. So, you've got one camp saying, yeah, they're the greatest things since sliced bread and they'll change your life. Another camp saying, no, they're absolutely shit, worthless, and, and produce inferior quality video because they use different compression algorithms, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got a third camp saying, of your Mac, we are not worthy of a Macintosh, Oh,
yeah.
Man. It's just fanboys. Yep. Every camp has their fanboys. And then, of course, there's the Adobe fanboys. Use Adobe Premiere. You're not using a real video editor. And that's exactly how they sound. Bloody dickheads. Anyway. God. So, yeah, I'm just going back to using my CPU and just, if I want to do 50, 60 frames per second, I got to cop it. 6 times slower. There you go, folks. The price I pay.
See, now
to
do
give me quality
you ever
footage.
run into other types of programs that need that? I mean, obviously video, I understand that that's going to be a big thing, but like CAD software never really runs into that, right? I mean, you're not doing like
no, way back in the
3D
old
CAD.
day. No, it was always games. Like you had to have a math co-processor for some of the games back in the 80s.
Right,
you had to have an
right.
80387 math co-processor, right? That was the big thing.
What is that one? 80387? Can you tell me?
It's an 80387. It's an 80386 was the processor, right? And 80387 was the co-processor, just like all the Intel line up until that point.
Okay.
Like you had the 8086, and then you had the 8087 co-processor, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So the 80387 math co-processor. And
you
then,
needed
of
that to
course, you
actually
wouldn't
do
buy
some
the
of
Intel one. As I've shown in a video, you've seen it, you would buy a third-party math co-processor, which was 80-bit, and it was, and it was, twice as quick as the Intel one, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, those were the days. But no, it's always been, like, games have always been a huge driver. CAD kind of was, but CAD was always like, we didn't have CAD like you think of these days, like, 3D and shaded effects and all that sort of stuff. It was, it was all, wire model stuff. So it wasn't a huge amount of process. It was more about your video card in terms of, what sort of res could it do, right? And that was all the rage, you get a Hercules video card. That's before your time, Sonny boy. And a Hercules video card, which would have a 720 by 480 or something like that, if memory serves me correctly. Anyway, that was huge resolution for the day. Monochrome only, of course. So hands up, everyone. And this doesn't work on radio, but hands up, everyone who remembers the Hercules video card. Woohoo! That was a duck's guts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, and there's always super expensive for that stuff too, right?
I'm not sure what its original price was, but yeah, it's so if you were using high-end CAD, so like Altium, right? I was using, Altium wasn't called Altium back then. It was, Protel Auto Tracks or Protel Easy Tracks, right? And that'd support the Hercules video card, so you would use it in the Hercules mode. If you had one of those combo video cards that do, your CGA, EGA, VGA, and Hercules. You'd get 4 in 1 video cards back in the day. And, of course, you'd run Altium or Protel in, Hercules because you got the greatest resolution out of it. And, yep. Fun times. Fun times.
No, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty awful.
Yeah.
But back in the day, you didn't know any different, right? So you thought it was the duck's guts. So,
right. Yeah. Well, you're always going to do with what, the best you can at the time. So that's fine. But,
you didn't think that there could be anything such as, full HD. Like that was like, that wasn't even in anyone's wildest imaginations back then. So, yeah. Anyway. Video cards, pain in the ass. High frame rate, pain in the ass. So how's your life going? Mine's shit at the moment.
It's been pretty good. I don't know. It's I'm glad to not be I'm not traveling again until the end of the month or end of January, so that's nice.
Oh wow. And let me guess, you're going back to California.
It's weird. Yeah, you guessed right. Yeah, I will be out there. I'll be out there at DesignCon if anyone's out there.
Right.
Actually, that's a little weird. Getting
Why?
ready for like a trade show. I don't know. I've never had to do that before. Like other than like hiring fairs and all that stuff. It's just
okay. So you're going to be on the stand.
Yeah.
Look, everyone, it's Chris Gabble. Step right up.
No. But I mean,
Throw
just like
a
all
pie,
of the
win a prize. They could have you
That
in a
would be one way
donkey
to do
booth.
it.
Yeah, donkey booth. I'll tell you what, I'd have people lining up if I was in a donkey booth.
Yeah. I'd probably give a couple bucks. Yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah.
Make a fortune.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just weird. I mean, it's just like all of these, it's a whole world that I've never had to deal with before. It's different from the other side where.
Yep.
So that's
I've been to DesignCon.
It's boring.
What is it?
It's
it's a 3-day. I think if I recall correctly, it's a 3-day
Yeah, 2
Okay.
days with the show floor. I think 3 days if you go to the
That's
conference
right.
stuff.
Yeah, if you go to the conference,
Yeah.
that's right. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that it's a lot of the high speed designer type folks. So I think
Right.
there will be probably some good test gear around. So if I get the chance to walk around, that'll be good.
Yeah, I can remember when I was there, I saw Howard Johnson wandering around. I was walking past, and he had the
Oh,
badge,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I thought, that face is familiar, and I look at the badge, Howard Johnson. And
Yeah.
I didn't think to go up and say hi, I couldn't be bothered back in the time, but yeah, there he is,
Yep,
wandering
there he
around.
is. Yep. If people do see me, say hi, please.
Yep.
So yeah, that'll be interesting.
But
it's good to be-
as I said, there will be a prize for the most forlorn-looking photo of Chris on the stand.
Oh,
Just that, oh shit, I've had enough look,
I know.
like, oh,
2 days in,
just
kind of thing.
staring
Yeah.
at his watch, staring at his watch on
Yep.
an empty stand. That's what I want, folks.
Oh, you gotta put some money behind it though, man. You gotta say what the prize is. That's the key.
All right, I'll find something around here.
Okay.
Here to give away. Multimeter or something. Yep.
So yeah, it's pretty good otherwise though. I'm planning on so contextual electronics is coming back.
Woo!
Actually, yeah.
You're doing it. You're filming a whole new series.
No,
Ah.
it's actually going to be changing quite a bit.
Do tell.
So one of the big problems, and I'm sure you've seen this as well. One of the big problems with the way we did it the first time is it was all really linear, so like super super linear, and the real problem was like, not only did I record all of it beforehand, but then it was also all, if there was, so basically the logistics were really constrained as well. So we got to the first session where we were actually designing the board and stuff like that in KiCad, and at the end it was like the end of the first session was design files, and then there was a break in the middle, and then I shipped everyone a PCB, or more accurately, Lane shipped everyone a PCB.
Yeah.
Oshpark did, and then we all started working on it once they all arrived. Well, the problem with that is that no one actually ended up sending out their own boards to get manufactured,
Oh,
which
right.
really sucks, right? I mean, like a lot of them designed them, but
Yeah, they didn't
getting-
bother getting them made.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
because the main problem is there is we wanted to have everyone on the same, to have the same hardware, to be on the same level, basically.
Right.
And the other problem was that it was also like, there was a lot of different modules that were included with, it was a modular design, stuff like that. That was important. But it was all, everything was done at once, and it was super, super linear, right? It was like, okay, design this thermocouple circuit, and then design this power supply circuit, and then design this relay circuit, and then ka-chunk, 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 and then here's the layout, and we're ready to go. And it's like, that's just never how it works. That's the real problem, is that's never... maybe some people do it like that, but if you do it like that, you're usually going to end up having mistakes in the board. You're going to have, you're not going to necessarily have the right part. Usually there's a lot of iterative testing and stuff like that, right? So you'll do a dev board,
Right.
you'll do a breakout, you'll test it, you'll revise it, you'll go work on something else, you'll test it, you'll revise it. And then at the end, you'll have, 3 or 4 or 5 modules, and then you'll integrate everything together because now you've kind of put things through their paces.
Right.
And we didn't do that because of the time constraints, and so the new model is doing away with just like a set course, and it's just a ongoing thing where we'll be working on just a switcher, right? Just a switcher.
Yep.
Search them out, design them, test them, actually have people send out their own boards, right? Because that's another important thing about learning is learning how to send out your own Gerbers and get everything
of course.
manufactured. And then basically piecing everything together, and then finally having a final design at the end.
Right.
So that's the new thing.
Cool.
I don't know
When can people join?
how to work. What's that?
When can people join?
Oh, so we're going to start on the same day as last year. So January 20th is going to be the first day. 20th? No, 19th. Sorry, it's the day before
Right.
last time. So that's Monday the 19th, and then it'll be just going from there. So that's 1 year base. It'll be 1 year since contextual electronics started.
Wow. That's scary.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been saying contextual electronics after my name during the announcement for like a year now.
You'll have to start designing add-ons for your hoverboard.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's the other thing is that, so, like, and this is, again, it's just kind of trying to replicate the process of being like a design engineer. You're never working on one thing, because
No, that's right.
if you're just sitting on your hands then, right? You'd be sitting around all the time. You have to be working on lots and lots of little things. So while I work on the switcher design and then I get that all ready to go and I ship that out to go get manufactured, or, just the board made, then I go work on the hoverboard add-on and I manufacture that, or start working on that. And then as that first board shows up, I go and or I go and assemble it and test it. And then while, if I need to wait for a part because there's always delays with shipping, then you got to go, work on something else. Basically having lots and lots of little modules so that I can design the hoverboard add-on while I wait for my switcher to show up.
Well,
so.
It's not even multiple projects. Like, even if you're just working on one project, you're often not working in that linear fashion. You think you might be, but a lot of the time you're jumping around. Like, you're laying out your board, but then you're still searching for parts, or you might decide, or you're still searching for, a better case. You're always looking for something, and you're always doing various things, and you're always thinking about, or, working on little tweaks you can possibly do during the design process or something like that. So it's not like you go idea, research.
Yeah. Step 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Board,
the waterfall method.
It's just, it doesn't happen like that,
Well, there's other good things about that too, is because, like, thinking about firmware development, stuff like that. If you're not thinking about your firmware while you're designing your hardware, you're kind of screwed, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like, you need to have test programs where even if you just have an LED that is your output, right? That's fine, right? You need to have some of that stuff started at the beginning so that you know what you really need. I mean, that kind of gets into the whole unit testing thing as well, but I'm not good enough with that.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a struggle, and every company deals with this too, right? Because it's even worse when it's not just one person. I remember, you're all, especially like when you're in a company. I remember the software guys would be just like hammering the hardware people, just give us anything, just a dev board. I don't care, just let us get anything started, because if you don't, because all of them had sat there and they had to deal with 6 months later the hardware's ready. Where's the software? I can
remember doing that for my scientific calculator watch, right? Because I entered it into the circuit seller design contest. This was, I don't know, 2007 or something. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, but so I had a real deadline to meet. I only came up with the idea at the last minute. So so I'm rushing the damn thing through, doing all sorts of things at once. And then, I set my board away to get manufactured. Even before I started sending the board away, I'm still, working on the firmware and doing stuff like that. And I had the firmware actually ready to go, complete, sort of like tested within itself, even though I had no hardware to work on before I got my board back and build up my prototype. So I built my own test routines that would, take the output from my, because I had to, I wrote my own module for the LCD, and my own code for the LCD.
Okay.
And so I wrote, code to simulate that and give me a response back, and simulate the keyboard as well, and things like
great.
that. So it was, and it all worked when my hardware came in, because I'd written these little modules to actually test things, and it was nice. I'm glad I did that, rather than just sit on my hands and wait for the hardware to come in and then try and, get it going.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Did you ever see the I mean, there's always like those stupid Gantt charts. You remember those? Like, obviously neither of us have to do those anymore, but like it seems like every time there's like a project manager involved, they're always like,
there's a Gantt chart.
Well, we need a schedule, and we must have a Gantt chart. And it's always the same thing as like 4 weeks for research, 4 weeks for design, 4 weeks for coding, 4 weeks for testing,
and a
project.
But a really a really clever, in quote marks, project manager, right? Someone who thinks they're really clever will, of course, overlap things. So they'll know, that's, oh, yeah, I'm such a good manager. I know that we can overlay these two tasks. That's an advanced Gantt chart. So it's not a linear thing. It's, it's overlaid a couple of things. So, yeah, during the research phase, we'll also be doing some prototyping, and stuff like that. And, oh, yes, I'm a real manager. I know how to manage projects. I can overlap and get that final milestone down,
Yeah, when in reality it's like, take the Gantt chart, print it on a piece of paper, crumple up the piece of paper.
Use it to
That's
wipe
what your
ass.
schedule is going to look like. Or that,
Oh, man. Yeah, I've worked on so many projects where, we had to, update our Gantt chart where we're at, and it was just so painful. And trying to explain to them, this is not how we're doing the development. And then they go, might, if they're flexible, they might go, well, okay, change the Gantt chart to show us what you're doing. And then you change it to show them what you're doing. And they go, you can't be doing all those things at once. That's inefficient use of your time. No, go back to doing it the way we told you,
Johnson, he might be possibly working more than 40 hours this week. How is this possible? I don't know, sir.
Yeah, can I just have you? I can't do the voice, but can you just hand in those TPS reports on time next time?
Right. Yep.
If you haven't seen The Office, do yourself a favor.
Office Space.
Office Space. Sorry, Office Space.
Yeah.
The Office is the TV show, right? Yep. Office Space.
Also good. Good. But
yes. But the movie's great. TPS reports. Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that would look like if you actually had like a realistic. I mean, this is obviously there's probably more management books have been written about this than days I've been alive. But I don't know. Like, there is no way to predict that, right? I mean, like, I think one of the problems is that they don't trust that the engineers are doing everything they can. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
exactly. No, that's right. No, you've got to trust your good engineers. Don't trust all engineers, because some engineers are crap, right, and have no idea how to finish a project, right?
Yeah.
But if you've got a good design engineer with a proven track record, trust them to manage, to do the project and manage it. Don't necessarily, don't try and tell them what to do and what not to do, because you're likely a dickhead and you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing too is like, it's this because I know that I've run into situations where I was the new guy, and it was just like,
right.
You get to that point where it's like, oh man, I didn't think about that, and that ends up messing up a bunch of things.
Yep.
And so it's just like, you have to try and get as many people that have done it before and be like, what messed up last time?
Exactly.
Please tell us what messed up last time,
because this will happen again, and
yeah. I think a big problem there too is like, if you're trying to do. So I don't know. I think a lot of electronics is changing. At least how I see electronics is changing. I don't think. I talked about this. I was on the Engineering Commons again a while back, and I was talking about how a lot of stuff's moving on silicon. I've talked about that on here before as well. Yep. But just like comparing it to like a Jim Williams app note, right? Jim Williams, brilliant, right? I don't think that I could even design what he did, even if I needed to. You know what I mean? But some of that was necessary in order to get certain specs, right? He was doing interesting things with building blocks in order to get certain specs.
Yeah.
And these days, though, electronics has changed so much where it's just more about kind of picking modules, finding stuff that's
totally
existing, and so many of the technologies that Jim and all those great engineers back then were writing about have been integrated now, and now it's just about higher and higher levels of abstraction, and so I think that ends up changing the nature of design. Not that it's easy, but it's just a different tasks now.
It changes. Yep. Yeah. No, that is progress. I talked about this on not the latest mailbag, but the one before. How I had a HDMI video. It converted the regular analog VGA signal, right? The analog VGA video signal to HDMI, digital HDMI, right? And I worked on a project at KeyCorp back in 1994 to do exactly this, right? But not at the high resolution we have these days, right? This was like 640 by 480, right? So, but to do that, to convert that analog VGA into, it wasn't HDMI at the time, but it was the signal to drive the flat panel screen, right? So we were designing flat panel monitors, right? Which you should take for granted. You can buy them for, next to nothing these days, right?
Yeah.
But back then that was a big deal to actually drive an LCD, a desktop LCD display from an analog VGA port. Right, back in the day, like just a year before that, or at the same time we were doing this, if you wanted an external LCD monitor, which were rare for your desktop, right? People were still using CRTs. You had to buy a custom plug-in board, right? That would then have a custom connector on it, custom cable, which would then drive your flat screen monitor. Right, that's how it was done, and it was rocket science to plug in an LCD monitor into an analog VGA port back then. And we had this box, and it was the size of a pizza box, right? In fact, it was called called the pizza box, right? That was the name of the project, right? Because it was the size of a pizza box, right? And unbelievable. It was. Just to do this required, I can't remember how many chips it was. It was like, 50 chips, chock-a-block, and it had, I think it had an FPGA in it, and all sorts of custom stuff, and analog to digital converters, because you had to convert analog to digital, and you had to resynchronize all the timing, you had to regenerate all the clocks and do all that sort of jazz. And it was rocket science. And then we had to build these into the monitors, as well, eventually, right? So we built these, so we had monitors that you could plug a VGA cable into them. And it was a huge deal. And now I take one of these things apart in the mailbag, right? You can go buy it for, I don't know, $5 or $10 on eBay, and it's a single chip solution. Oh, no, sorry, it's 2 chips, because it's got one for driving the, one chip for the audio or something, for taking the audio in as well. It's like single chip, bang, done. Buy it on DigiKey. Any hobbyist can lay this thing out and do exactly what we did in 1994. That required a whole team of people and, a huge pizza-sized board. Exactly the same thing. And at 5 times the spec. 5 times higher spec than what we were doing it back in the day. Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Oh, exactly.
Unbelievable.
And that's another thing I talked about on that show is like, it's gotten to the point where it's like, even if you wanted to do it the way you used to do it in 94, even if I wanted to copy application note 28 I just found online, it's the Jim Williams thermocouple one where he's using like transformers and stuff. It's actually irresponsible to do that these days because you're not going to have as good a specs, and irresponsible from a business perspective, from academic trying it out. It's worth it to do this, but it's irresponsible as a design engineer to do that these days because you're going to use up more board space.
Time, yeah.
You're going to waste time. You're going to waste. The money is probably going to end up being more expensive because you have more parts on board, and you're just going to end up doing that. And risk is a huge one as well, because then you have more components that can go obsolete, even if they are commoditized.
And risk and time risk, I was really alluding to there.
Oh, okay.
Because you've got to design the thing, and you got to have you got to troubleshoot and everything. It's going to take longer, and
Yeah.
No, it's
right.
just...
Yeah, and these days there's a chip that LT just put out. It was like, and now it's like you don't even, I think you can just program the registers directly, and it's just everything linearizes right on the chip. Maybe it wasn't them. There's someone where it's, there's a lot of thermocouple type chips out there. You need to do linearization usually, but it used to be like this huge deal. There's a lot of
but they now have the tables
math
built in, right? They got all the
exactly.
Yeah.
If you need something different, exactly. The K type's just programmed right in, or if you want to program others in, you can do that as well. And it's just like, man, that's crazy. Like this is just a product of the times because everybody moves up market, right? All of these silicon companies want to do more and more.
Speaking of which, it's a chip of the week, if I could actually remember the part number, but I was reading a press release for a new chip the other week, and it was exactly this, right? It was one of these thermocouple chips, right? It was one of the big chip makers. They came out with this new thermocouple chip that did everything. It was the world's most accurate. It was like 0.1 degree accurate or something. It had built-in, cold junction temperature compensation, and it could work with any type of thermocouple or any type of sensor or whatever. It was just...
Was it the LTC 2983? That's the one I was thinking of. It does
Probably.
RTDs, thermocouples, thermistors, and diodes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, I saw the product release for this, and it just does everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just, it's got a 10 ppm reference built in. It's got, oh man.
Right, and they're doing it all just on standard CMOS process, probably too. Or no, I guess these guys do more than that. They do buy CMOS stuff and.
Who cares?
But, exactly.
Right? As a designer, we don't give a toss. I don't care about process technology. I don't care. It's a chip I can buy from DigiKey, and it's got a kick-ass data sheet that tells me how to use it with all the specs, Yeah, and it does, you can use silicon diodes, you can use thermistors, thermocouples, RTDs. Wow, you know. And
as a reference point here, people, this is important as well. This used to be this was my job. At my last job, I was doing. I did a card where obviously I needed to balance price and everything else, but this is what I was doing.
Yeah, and now it's all in a chip, right?
Yeah, a lot of what I was doing was still in a chip, but I needed to do stuff around it, and you need to do the supply chain stuff. But this is kind of like
a similar thing to what happened to me in '94, right? To now, it's like you would just buy if money wasn't an object, right? You would just buy this chip.
Well, that's
right, and it doesn't look at the spec. It's like even for it's within 0.1 degree error for a 3904 junction diode, right?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Right? That's ridiculous because it has all these tables built in and it's got a kick-ass reference built in and it just can compensate for all these different sensors. Just look at the graph. It's pornographic.
Yeah.
At the typical error. Oh.
But we benefit from this stuff. Ultimately, that's what happens is we benefit from this stuff. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
How much is this chip, by the way? Is it like $10 or something?
Know.
It's got to be.
It was pretty pricey. Yeah.
Yep. But geez, that's. Yeah.
Oh, usually they have the price on here, don't they? I don't know.
No. Buy. Here we go. I can buy it. Order now. There's a buy button. $27. And that's Yankee dollars. That's Yankee dollars, right? Up to $32, even at 100 quantity, $23.
Don't believe those prices. If you're paying that much, you're paying too much. But
you're right. Yeah. No, but if you're developing, that's what you got to pay. Unless you build in 1 million of them, right? If you're buying 1,000 of them, well, you've got to pay that price, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I don't know if you go back a page. Actually, it's interesting. I don't know if you've seen this before, but I'm obviously a very big linear tech fan. I've said that in the past. But I was really interested. About 2 years ago, they started this Linduino thing. They started an Arduino clone.
I see.
Basically, they have sketches for everything as well. I forget the guy's name. There was a product manager.
They've got one here for $75. You can buy the Arduino compatible demo board for this chip. The Linduino.
Right, but basically they just standardized on that, and they just have test programs for that. And it's like that. Why not, right? Especially with people coming up through the ranks, it's smart. Yeah. But I think I think of Jim Williams, and it's like I wonder what he would think. It's funny because in that App Note 28, he writes about it at the end. He writes about microcontrollers. If you go to the last couple pages, he puts in the code. It's all in assembly. But and he writes about, I guess there are a place for microcontrollers after all, or something along those lines.
Grungily,
So
yes,
crazy world we're living in.
It is, but you can see why they do it. You got to standardize on some platform, otherwise you have a different demo board for everything, right? Which is the way the manufacturers have always done it. But if you can sort of, especially something that has a digital interface like this, right? It's like,
right.
How do you do it? How do you, how do you demo this thing? Let's just plug it into an Arduino. That's a sort of, a standard platform. Why not? I think it makes sense. It looks silly from a professional standpoint. Like, it looks silly to us.
No, I mean, this is how I exercise chips. When I was testing chips, this is what I did too. I mean, because it's, it's the same as like a bus pirate as well, right? You can write single spy commands on a bus pirate as well. And whatever works, basically.
Exactly.
I have nothing against it. I just think it's interesting from, linear tech, man.
Yeah, exactly. The last person you would have expected to embrace the Arduino platform, linear technology,
right? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Love it.
Strange world.
Yep.
It's actually, so all of these things are. I was reading a thread on Reddit, not on our Reddit.
Hang on.
Oop.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just got a T-shirt idea. Oh, yes. It's 2015, and instead of hoverboards, we got the bloody Arduino. Or we got Arduino, big font, 2015. We got Arduinos instead of hoverboards.
I was promised hoverboards. I got Arduinos.
Yeah, Arduinos, maybe. Something like that. I don't know. It's just, Dave
will be sketching for the rest of the day.
Right. Yeah. I'll be reading all my death threats from all the Arduino fanboys.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there was a thread on Reddit though about it's a list of things that people wish that, or the person asking about it was, what are some of the things that you wish you would have learned in school? It's kind of the, obviously right. I'm trying to teach people things that are outside of that school anyways, but I thought it was a good listen to kind of fit in with what we're talking about here, right? Like, be modular design, your schedules are always going to suck, purchasing of your parts
source control.
Exactly. Yeah, that was one on there, right?
Git.
Have you ever used that yet or no? Have you not gotten
Git?
It?
No, I still haven't used Git. Everyone points to their GitHub repository and I hate it.
I know.
I hate the look of the way it works. I just hate it. I know it's the duck's guts for you software people, right? And it does version control and breath forking and all the rest of the wank, right? Which is great.
Yeah.
For you, but I don't.
Actually, there's so another one on here. Another person talks about
be forced to
using command line, right? Because they're actually doing ASIC design. Everything's command line based for running reports and stuff like that. And actually, that's what I've come around to on Git is that you have to run it with the command line stuff. Like I've tried the graphical stuff, but once you get a hang of it, I think it's kind of. I think it is the duck's guts, as you say.
Right. Yeah. So. Maybe. But I don't, it just, because all my projects are so relatively simple, like I just don't need it. Just stick a zip of all your files up on your website, I mean.
Well, do you ever revise those, though? Do you have a second version or anything like that? I mean, this is basically.
I will put up another version.
Right. So I always think of the.
Good and ready,
So I used to work on an FPGA project, and I would get files, and it would be like, version 46, and then the next day version 47, and then the next day version 47 revision or fix 1, fix 2, and I'd be like all these files, and it was just it was. I mean, FPGAs are weird because they have weird binaries, but it's just not necessary. So much of that stuff is it's just click and go, and then especially if you start getting into branching and everything, it sounds
we
weird,
we didn't use GitHub at Altium, but at Altium we used Tortoise, which was the graphical interface to the SVN versioning control system.
Subversion's another very popular
Subversion.
One.
Yep. And I came to like that. I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
But
I think especially on the project stuff, it's like when you're doing stuff on your own, it's just about it's the same thing as before, the experience, right? It's like you get burned a couple of times, you're gonna be like, okay, I need to do something here. There was one on the KiCad info forums where it was like someone wrote in, they're like, I'm going on Christmas break and I tried adding a hierarchical sheet and it broke everything and now I don't know what to do. And of course the first thing you ask is like the worst question to ask because everybody, when the answer is no, they hate you. But did you back anything up? Did you put it in a Dropbox folder? Did you, my butt's been saved by Dropbox a couple times as well. But
same here. Yeah, I'm using Dropbox for all of my projects now so that I can sync them between here and home. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's honestly, that is a ad hoc version of revision control, I think, as well. And it's like, if it's just
not really
that,
revision. It's just backup, really. It's not.
No. If you go into the
such.
web interface, this is what happened to me.
Really?
I ended up messing something up. If you go to the web interface, you'll see the last changed because they actually track and they actually keep all of the versions going backwards.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
okay.
That's really helpful.
I've never had to use that. Okay.
If you do, you won't be a happy person.
I have accidentally deleted something from the Dropbox, and of course, it propagates to all your machines.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I've actually deleted something. I went, oh, no. So I went into the Windows version and it said, do you wish to, here's all the files that you've actually deleted. They're still here. Would you like to recover them?
Right.
Bet your ass I would.
Yep.
And thank you very much. And the bingo, they're back.
Right.
And I thought that was really nice.
Right.
So,
well, and if you look at like the actual, the guts of Git, it's doing that same thing. I mean, it's just saving all these different files locally. And then syncing everything together, and then it's doing diffs if you need to. I think the only key is the same thing that's true about any hardware project is if you're using revision control like that, merging is really, really hard in hardware. That's ultimately what it comes down to. If you have if you and I are working in the same project and I go off and do one thing and you go off and do another thing, if it's not like I add a page and everything's different on that page, and you add a page and everything's different on that page. If it's like you and I change something on the same page, we're screwed. It's over. It
doesn't work.
It might be possible.
Altium thought that would be the next big thing, collaborative design.
Yeah.
Right. And they came out with these collaborative design tools, and they released them, and they gave it to us to look at, the hardware team. Tell us what you really think about this. Is it useful? And we came back and went, no.
Well, it could be.
But that's exactly what we said. Yeah, it could be, but there's just so many intricacies involved, and they went, well, tell us how to solve these problems, and we're going,
I think the biggest problem is
there's so many scenarios.
Well, I think the biggest problem is that there's such a vanishingly small set of people where you're actually all doing lots and lots of work on the same schematic, right?
Yes,
it might be different boards, it might be different pages even, but like once you're all on the same page of a schematic, you're oh man, that's bad, right? I mean, and that's only huge companies anyways, so that's the tough part.
I can actually remember doing collaborative design back in 90, stretching it 93. No, 95. 95.
Clear out the cobwebs.
I would work on one half of the PCB layout, and somebody else at a different company would work on the other half of the PCB layout.
Oh, interesting.
No, and then of course one person had to then merge them together at the end. Because we were teaming up with a switching power supply company, right, who were dedicated to doing switches. So they would do the switching power supply side. They wanted their designer to do the switching. They didn't trust me. So they wanted their designer to do the switching power supply half of the board, right? And then I would do the rest of it. I'd do all the digital and the analog and the whole, the rest of the real circuitry, right? Real circuitry in quote marks. Sorry to all you power supply aficionados out there, right?
You power supply unicorns. You don't exist.
And it worked. We of course you could, right? Because switching power supply is its own block, right? Heck, it even has its own ground plane, right? It's even got its own. Everything's just isolated, and so you could do that,
right?
And it kind of worked.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, you're doing modular.
Did work, right?
You're doing modular design. Yeah. It's effectively like you have two things. You're just getting rid of the connector, right? That's the way to do it, especially with high speed stuff like that. But
right.
Yeah, it's so there are cases for it, but I think that ultimately the case that a lot of us and a lot of our listeners. Us being you and I and our listeners, I think a lot of the times it is going to be, especially for the smaller stuff where you're doing testing. If you're doing your own board design, anyways, you're probably doing smaller stuff,
right?
So yeah, I think that the revision control where it's just you're in pretty good shape. But I think even if you just communicate well, where you have okay, I just pushed a revision, I'm not going to touch anything for the next week while you work on stuff. I think that works too. Actually, another thing I've started using for others for my job stuff for software. They use I've been using Atlassian. That's actually the Aussie company that you got. Oh, that's where
my mate
Roger.
Rog, my mate Rog works there. Yeah,
yeah, right.
I've had a tour of their facility, dude. They have beer on tap.
Yeah. They're like a Silicon Valley startup in Australia.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, they're a great software company. They have a free tool called I can't remember the name of it now. But they have a tool used for revision control using Git, and here, I can pull it up. And I love it because it actually helps you to visualize. This is actually what kind of like, I had kind of understood it, but ultimately it got to the point where if you see it, once you see like a couple of changes and everything with like this tree, it's called source tree, actually. If you see it, then it kind of starts to come together. Like all of the different why things are merging. Like it is tough. People always point you to this book about Git. I think it's git-scm.com or something like that. I'll put a link into that too. But that doesn't really help. That's written for software people. For hardware people, it just doesn't help at all. But seeing things like source tree, that really helped a lot. And then, actually using it a couple times, breaking it a couple times, that helps a lot. So as a hardware person, I still consider myself a hardware person. It can be helpful, especially for personal stuff. And it's nice too because with like a GitHub type thing, Git is the original. It's from Linux. It's actually that's the backbone of it all. But GitHub is the social online part of it, and that's nice for sharing designs. I mean, that's kind of becoming the ad hoc place to share a lot of that stuff.
It is. It's a de facto standard place to share, which is why I'm probably going to have to eventually use it.
Right?
Because people expect, where's your GitHub repository?
Right. Well, and and the web interface is clunky too, right? That's another thing where I was super confused by it because you can't even like you click down through the hierarchy of a set of files, right? You're like, well, here's the file. How do I download it? Like, you don't.
See, that's the thing. I did a video on this, right?
Yeah.
I was looking my MakerBot, right? I actually bricked my MakerBot. Have we talked about this?
I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. Back when it happened, perhaps. But anyway, I bricked my I bricked the firmware in my MakerBot, right? It's got a famous bug where, if you try to update the firmware, it just nukes it,
That's nice.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks very much. Right, so I had to get my programmer out and, disassemble it and get in there, find the header to program the Atmel chip directly, right? Mm-hmm. And and it's, they said it's easy. Yeah, here's the image file, right? The the image file for the chip on the GitHub repository. Right, so I go in there and here's the list of all the files. Here's the firmware file. Yep. So I right click and I go save as, like I do on every other bloody website. Right, and I'm wondering, exactly.
Yep.
Bloody hell, because it downloaded like a HTML file. Oh,
that's the worst, right?
And of course, that led me down the path of. Thinking, because I haven't used this programmer in a long time, the drivers, I've had issues with the Atmel, drivers, the USB drivers before. I've seen this problem before, so I know what the problem is. It's going to be, the Atmel drivers or whatever, and I'm spending all day trying to get this work. Whereas the problem
is it's an HTML file.
Downloading all sorts of different sites. It was, I hadn't actually and it didn't dawn on me to actually open that file and check whether or not it was actually an Intel hex file.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. 1010.
Oh, exactly. Oh my God, I felt so dumb, and I'm. Oh.
No, I know, but that's where it's confusing, right? And until you learn that secret,
totally. I know.
Not even it shouldn't be a secret, but it's just like this is just part of.
Yeah, that's right.
So if people are listening and you're still like, well, what am I supposed to do? What you do is you go to the top of the repository and you download the entire thing. That's how you have to do it. So you download this.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so once you get used to it, though, right, and once you start using the command line, right, you say git clone and then the file name, it just does it, and then it's in your file system on your computer.
Command line bullshit. I don't use command line for anything anymore.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's like it's basically like you're not used to it, but once you start doing it, it's just so frictionless. Once you do it.
Why should I have to do it? Why should I have to use the command line?
You don't
Why
have
isn't there some easy tool that allows you to do it?
Well, I think if you want an easy tool, I think source tree is it. I think source tree is beautiful. It's really, really nice.
Right.
It's made for software people, but it's friendly enough for hardware people. So Chris approved, and it's really nice, right? But then it's then that's just about learning what commits are and everything like that. But it's a little bit of a struggle. It's totally worth it when you get there, just like KiCad.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you tweeted. That's enough of that.
Okay, no more Git. We'll talk about Git in the new year.
No more Git. You tweeted the other day about you mumbled something. I could see you mumbling. Get off my lawn. On Twitter about how why do people still like Eagle?
Yep.
It's such a piece of shit.
I didn't say it like that, but it was just like I opened it up.
That's what you meant, right?
That's what you meant. That's what Dave interpreted my saying. No, what it was is I was looking for I was on Git, right, or GitHub rather, and I downloaded a SparkFun set of files. I was looking for a bomb for something, and then I realized that SparkFun does everything in Eagle, which is fine, right? And then I opened up Eagle because
didn't they provide a PDF schematic?
They had a schematic. I was looking for a BOM, like an actual Excel file.
Right, a bomb.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And
didn't they have that?
They did not actually.
Is there an Eagle bomb format? They only had some sort of Eagle bomb format, did they?
They had the schematic. So there's just .sch was the schematic, then the .brd, and then the PDF. From Eagle, there's a script you can run that'll run the
that do bombs.
Yeah, that do bombs. But basically, I was just back in Eagle again, and I've used it before, right? That's all. I've used it for years.
But doesn't it save it in like a text format? Doesn't it save it in plain text, bomb, or a CVS or something?
It can, yeah, but it just wasn't included in the repository. That's the thing.
Right.
So when I downloaded it, it wasn't there. And that's just the choice of using the actual. So this is interesting. I've talked about this stuff before, but using like the actual the CSV or Excel file as the control document, like that is the word of God kind of thing, or if you use the schematic as the control document. I actually like the schematic. I actually like the schematic as a control document. The thing I don't like,
and then push out the bomb as needed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then because then you only change it one place, because when you start decoupling the two, I used to have problems with this where I would change the Excel file.
I still do.
And then you don't push it back right in time, and then you can get lots of trouble. I used to get yelled at about that a lot, actually. So I do like the schematic as a control document, but then the problem is that you need to open up the program itself, and you need to do the conversion.
Of course. Yep.
And you actually spit it out. So that is the downside.
And bottom line is, you thought Eagle was horrible, just like every time you tried to use
not
it.
Eagle. It's just it's just kind of switching back, right? I mean, when I'm confused, it's kind of like when like you're on a subway and you understand a subway, right?
I've been on subways, but
right. And you get to a new station. You need to be at this station, and then you get there and you get off, and you're just looking around. You're like, where am I right now? You know what I mean? Like it's just like this. God, there's so many exits, and there's. And it's just you just don't know where you're going. You don't know what you're looking at, and it's just like, that's what it felt like. I mean, that's what it was. And the same thing happens when I open up Altium or OrCAD or any other pads. Like you just don't know where things are, and that's tough.
I know, it's painful. Yeah,
but I'm still not a huge fan of Eagle. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't have hatred in my heart or anything. So. But yeah, it was just it's just kind of looking. I've been in KiCad for a while now. It's been what at least probably 3 years, 4 years, since I've.
The interesting thing about Eagle I've found is that even the people who use it say it sucks. Like a good lot. I'm not going to say the majority, but I'm saying probably people with PCB design experience in other packages.
Yeah.
Right. I found they use Eagle. It's their daily tool, but they hate it.
There's lots of quirks, but I mean, Altium has quirks too, right? I mean, KiCad definitely has quirks. It's just and someone wrote to me about that.
This seems to go beyond that.
Yeah,
that's the impression I get. Yeah, people actually truly know that it's an archaic, horrible interface.
It is,
and that.
Yeah, I don't have too many legs to stand on because KiCad's a lot of awkward keystrokes and everything, but ultimately what it comes down to, it's kind of what you're used to, and and what you have to work in, right? A lot of the times, like I used to use DX Designer. That was terrible.
Ugh.
Yeah, that was schematic capture, and it's just like like that. You do what you have to do, right? That's ultimately what it comes down to. So I'm guessing the ones that are complaining about Eagle or complaining about KiCad are the ones that are complaining about whatever. It's usually because they're forced to do it, or they feel forced by there being enough libraries and stuff like that. So
right.
Hey, I think that people learning. I have tons of. I keep making new videos. Learn KiCad in 2015. It's a good time to jump in, right? If you're looking for a project.
Well, I'm probably going to have to do it because if I hire this person, there'll be more boards being designed.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting point.
We have we can't be using different packages, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to settle on something.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
yeah.
I'm definitely not going to buy them an Altium license.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you can't put out products that you don't want to get caught up with not having a a legit license if you're actually putting out real products too. That's another thing.
Yeah.
It's
exactly. So I mean, it might come down to what package they're experienced in.
Yeah, that's true.
Perhaps, or maybe I can go. Well, no, look, we're both in the same boat. Let's just all switch to. Let's just both all two of us. Let's switch to KiCad, right?
Yeah.
Or yeah. Because I can't see myself switching to Eagle. Because for the boards I want to do, it is not a cheap package. It's $1,000 package.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But,
you're going to be commercial, right? So you're going to be making stuff.
Exactly. Well, a commercial, but I'm going to be making stuff bigger than 150 millimeters.
Right.
Or whatever the bloody limitation is, which means you've got to buy the $1,000 package.
Yeah.
And then we've got two people here, right? Yeah. So, we're going to have to buy two licenses. Right?
Right.
It's serious money. So why would we choose that when everyone says it's crap, right? Just because, a majority in the maker movement might happen to use it because there's a free version available doesn't.
Well, I don't think that's why a lot of people use it, though. I think that a lot of people use it because
totally. No.
There's a lot of libraries out there, like the Adafruits and SparkFuns of the world have tons of good libraries.
But that's why the ones who've produced these libraries used it in the first place, is because there was a free version available. If there wasn't that free version available, it wouldn't have gained the traction it did. I guarantee you.
Oh, interesting.
Guarantee you.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's because Adafruit and SparkFun and a couple of other major players in this new hacker maker movement, right? They decided to use it, so it became a de facto standard. But why did they use it? And in fact, I've read Lady Artist said it herself. Why did I choose it back in the day? Well, it was free.
Yeah.
It had a free version, and I just wanted to design a small board, so that's what I used. I didn't use it because I evaluated all the tools and it was the best. They used it because it was free, and now everyone else uses it because everyone else uses it.
Yeah.
So
right, it just adds up.
Yeah,
so.
that's it. And I tried to convince Altium of that fact, and why they need a free version. And,
I haven't heard much on Circuit Maker lately. Hopefully, maybe that'll come out.
Well, they're going to have, they wanted me to evaluate it again. And I said, I don't have time.
Yeah.
I truly don't have time to, beta test your software for you.
Well, maybe that's an option, though, for your potential hire.
It could be. Yeah, so it looks like they are going to have the two versions. They're going to have the Circuit Studio and Circuit Maker. So they're going ahead with two. One is like a low end, one is like a free hacker, the online thing, which everyone's seen, right? And then there's a Circuit Studio, apparently, which nobody's seen yet, which is going to have, which is going to be a paid model, So, I don't know. So they're
good luck
really
with
jumping in with
all that.
Yeah, exactly. Boy.
Yeah.
So I could. You could see me switch to KiCad in the
you've been saying it. I don't know, man. That's going to be...
Yeah, but because I haven't had time to work on any design, so I haven't, been pushed. But now I want to work on new designs, and if I get an employee, they will be working on stuff as well, So, yeah. So there you go.
How goes the hunt for a Dave Jones 2?
Hey, Mini Me. I shall call him Mini Me.
Mini me.
Yeah, it's going good. I still haven't read all the resumes properly.
Yeah.
You know, I've just, yeah.
Yeah, that gets old real quick.
Yeah, it does. I know. I've got 20, and I've got to not only read the resumes, but I got to look at their work, because a lot of people send in, websites and videos to the.
That's good. That means they're listening, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Or links to their YouTube channels and things like that. So anyway, I've got 29 local applicants, and yeah. Oh, geez, didn't my video cause? Oh, I think it's one of my most thumbs down videos
I saw
ever.
about
apart
the
from
spelling.
pouring the beer down the drain. That was the spelling and grammar.
Please don't remind me of
my fault.
the beer incident. Don't tell me about that. It's season of celebrations, Dave. You shouldn't bring up tragic memories about beer getting needlessly wasted.
Right. Oh god.
Yeah.
So like it was my fault because I didn't explain what I was trying to get at clearly enough, and I can see why a lot of people maybe got a bit irate about
there. So
anyway, I didn't explain well enough why spelling and grammar is important. It's not actually about the spelling.
No,
it's about what it shows.
It's about
that
presenting
you don't
yourself.
Take care.
Yeah.
It's about presenting yourself, because a resume is your product. If you're going for a design job, a resume is the product you're showing the company that you've designed.
Yep, exactly.
Think of it that way, and if it just looks sloppy and like there's no care or pride in it, well, you're not going to look. They're not going to discount. They're not going to just. Some people might just instantly toss out your resume because there's one spell mistake. I'm not one of those people, right?
Right.
But
no, I wouldn't do that.
But usually it all counts towards the overall impression you get of that person.
Yep.
And it shows that they're sloppy and they don't take care. They don't care enough to go spell check it, or they don't care enough to format it properly.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, if I've got somebody else with the same qualifications and experience, and they're, and they really took pride in their, pride in actually making their resume and their application and everything else, then, well, who are you going to pick, right?
Yeah. Well,
who are you
that's
going to pick to interview?
Yeah,
because resume has one goal. I'll say final thing on that is to get you to the interview. That's it.
Right.
That's the sole purpose of a resume.
Right.
That's it.
Well,
so
and the interview is a good example too, right? Because it's like people always ask about, oh, well, do I need to wear a suit to an interview and stuff like that? It's like, no, you don't need to, right? You don't need to do anything, right? But
exactly,
ultimately, unless you have other things that, like certain things you want to normalize on, certain things you want to stand out from the pack. If you stand out from the pack on things you should have normalized on, like something stupid like a suit or spelling errors or anything else like that, then you got to work even harder later to prove how much more awesome you are, right? And why they're making up on the stupid things, when in fact you should just normalize on the stupid things like the suit and the well spell checked resume and stuff like that, and then you shine on the technical stuff, because once you have all that, once you've crossed off all the check boxes that you need to, right, for the suit and the spelling and the the formatting and all that other silly stuff, and then you show them your awesome project, you're already 95% of the way there, right? Everything else is just personality match, and
Yep. I'm totally less about the suit. I couldn't care less about what
I know
you
for
wear,
your thing, but I'm just saying in general, that question always comes up. It's like, oh, do I need to wear...
no, totally, it does, yeah.
It's whatever's normal, right?
Yes, you should err on the side of presenting yourself well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, having a good looking resume is, and a nicely prepared resume and application is better, is much more valuable than turned up in a suit. Because, see, the thing is, once as I said, the goal is to get to the interview. Yep. Right? If you have to wear a suit, you've already passed, right?
That's
You're
true.
already at the interview. That's why it's not going to matter as much. Whereas your resume, you could get totally rejected.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
Because there is no way.
You have like 3 seconds maybe with most readers of resumes.
Right. Well, I read a bit more than that. But anyway, yes, it's true, right? At jobs I've worked at, I have gotten 100 resumes to look through. They slam it on my desk. It's like half a foot high, right? And they go, find somebody. Great. Yeah, thanks a lot. Right? And and it's the same thing here. I've got 29 local applicants. I am I can't, I would love to give everyone a fair go in quote marks, right? As in say, okay, your resume doesn't care, like I'm going to interview everyone and everyone gets a fair go. But I'm sorry, the world doesn't work like that. I can't. It'd take me a couple of weeks full time to interview, to give a fair interview, fair time to all 29 local applicants.
Yep.
I can't. I've got to pick a handful. I've got to pick 5 or 6 that I want to interview. So I'm sorry, the resume is the only thing I've got to go on.
Yep.
And it looks like, if you've got really good stuff in there, it looks like you're the ideal candidate. If you've got spelling mistakes in there, I'm not going to really care, right? I'm going to get you in for an interview if I think you're the right person. But if you're like borderline where, well, I've only got like, say, 5 or 6 slots available, and you're like on the board, I don't know, this guy sounds like he has a bit of promise, I might give him a go.
Yep.
Right? If you're like on that border, whether you're going to make the cut or not for those interviews, then if you've got a crappy looking resume and somebody else who I might give the same, have the same inkling for, then I'm sorry, but you're going to miss out, and the guy with the better resume is probably going to get the cut, right? Or the slot. They're going to get the interview slot. That's just the reality. And if you don't like that, tough. I'm sorry. That's how the real world works.
You might have a tough time going on with the reality thing then.
Yeah. It's not just me, right?
No, I completely agree with you.
Almost anyone. Yeah. This is how the world works.
Yep. Yeah, life ain't fair. That's what I always hear.
I mean, I know. But, hey, if I only got 5 applicants, hey, I would have just interviewed all of them anyway, right?
Yeah.
Unless you sounded absolutely, totally not what I'm after, then that's fine. But yeah, I would have given everyone a go, but sorry, I can't. So, yeah. I had a surprise. I just didn't give this a thought, right? That I would have so many applicants from overseas.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Like, oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, there you go. Anyway, did we talk about the resume last week? No, because I hadn't shot that video.
No,
right?
you hadn't yet, yeah.
Right, yeah. So anyway, I was thinking about doing a follow-up video to that.
Yeah,
it's probably
I wouldn't even touch it. Just let it go, man.
Let it go. Let it
lie. Yep.
Well,
so how soon are you talking about here, though?
Though.
Yeah. I mean, it's important. It's important, but
I think it's an important skill for people to know. It's an important thing for people to know. So I like to think I'm teaching people something.
Yeah, you will pay a price for that, but yes,
yeah, I know.
I'll pay
a price for. Yeah, right. I'm teaching them. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I'm glad that the majority agree with me though. So it's not like the majority disagree. The majority did agree. Go read the comments and
of course
they did. I did get more thumbs up than thumbs down. By the way, I got like 3 times more thumbs up than. So I did ultimately win the battle, but I won the war but lost the battle or whatever. Yeah.
So how soon are we looking at here? How soon until
I don't know. Christmas and New Year's has just screwed everything up, and then I'm taking a short break, early in the new year, and I'd like to interview some people like in the first couple of weeks of January.
That's great, man.
So in the next week or two. Yeah, but like there's some good sounding applicants like that can't start until like February or March or something like that. So yeah. Anyway, we'll see how that all goes.
Yep.
Cool.
So any other big plans for 2015 other than the hoverboard and the employee?
Don't go bankrupt.
Don't go bankrupt. That's good. Yep. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah. Oh, don't join a multi-channel network. I'm after this. I'm going to go shoot a blab video.
Oh, yeah.
10 people from this full screen company have now contacted me. Oh, no. Oh, sick of it.
You'll be all right.
YouTubers out there, do not join a multi-channel network. They're a cancer. They really are. Anyway, enough said.
So the last thing I wanted to say, I guess, no, not the last thing, but the last item I wanted to mention was the Chaos Communication Congress or Camp or Congress, ccc.de. That's all going on now. There's lots of great videos. Some of them are linked on the
sweet
on our subreddit.
Why do they have it just after Christmas? That
You
just
know, a lot of-
kills like people coming from overseas.
No, a lot of
Like-
people go over, man. I mean, like,
Yeah, but they're probably all young and single, right? And don't
Probably.
have families
Maybe-
and commitments.
maybe.
and,
I don't
you
know.
Like,
but I think it's just about pride. Would you go? You wouldn't go anyways. What are you talking about?
no, if I was near, I would go, right? But
Right,
if it's
but you're not.
if it's over New Year's, right? If it was over New Year's and Christmas, Christmas break, no, I probably,
I don't know. A lot of people
No,
have off
even
then.
if I
That
was
makes
close.
sense. I mean, like, and I hear Berlin
Yeah,
has a
true.
great party scene for like New Year's and stuff. So,
right? Yeah, well, yep.
I mean, I agree with about the family stuff, for sure. I mean, like that makes it a lot more difficult if you're, but. Anyways, so that's that's over now, I believe. But there's lots of great talks coming out of there. They have a bunch of the talks recorded, so you can go and rewatch them and stuff like that.
What is the most common language of talks there? Is it German or is it English?
I think English.
Right.
I
Okay.
think. I haven't watched enough to say German or English, but so when I was into electronica, the really useful thing there, I don't know, I might have mentioned this on the show, when the talk listing was in German, you knew the talk was in German, so that makes it easier.
Right, okay. I got it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a dead giveaway, right?
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
I'm sure it's the same thing there. If it's if the description's in
Yeah.
German, then yeah.
Yeah, and that's the
Right.
way to do it. So I'm guessing probably you're going to get a wider swath of visitors if it's in English, but
Yep.
I wouldn't fault
then
for someone
again-
for doing it in German. It is Germany.
Hardware is the universal language, right?
That and love and music.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the last thing I want to say is just thank you to all our listeners again. 2014,
Indeed.
good year. We had a lot of good guests. We'll have a lot more good guests in 2015.
We will, and this is our 5th year, is it? Or getting close? Getting not far off it. We have our 5th
Yeah, we're about
anniversary this
four and a
year.
half years in. Yeah, so
Yeah.
man,
You get less for murder.
yeah.
Mm.
Also, we don't thank him enough, but thanks to Paul Stevenson, he wrote our theme that continues to hold up. I think
Yep.
so. It's a lot better than the original one that I wrote. So quote unquote, yeah.
Press a few random keys, monkey
Yeah.
style on it.
Yep, that's about right.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
All right, man.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, I'll talk to you in 2015.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, we'll be back,
See you then.
hopefully. Bye. Show 200. Oh! Shit. I wet myself.
You what?
Oh, dear. My cup just went everywhere.
Oh,
All over my pants. I'm going to have to tweet a photo of that. Hang on, that's hilarious. Just my whole cup.
we need to get you a sippy cup for 2015.
A sippy cup, yep.